I bet you'll remember them, but do you know their history? Well, here's the rest of that story. You remember the sticky red trails running down your wrist on a blistering July afternoon, the frantic race against that melting sun, and that sweet, icy reward at the end of a wooden stick. A simple treat, a childhood staple, born of brilliant summertime marketing, right? Not quite. To find the true origin of this iconic double-handled frozen confection on a stick, we have to wind the clock back more than a century. Not to a bustling candy kitchen or corporate boardroom, but to a crisp, freezing night in San Francisco, California in 1905. The protagonist of our story is an 11-year-old boy named Frank Epperson. Frank was an ordinary kid with an extraordinarily curious mind. On that particular evening in 1905, Frank was experimenting. He had mixed up a refreshing batch of homemade soda pop using powdered sugars, flavorings, water, and stirred it thoroughly with a wooden stick. Then, as 11-year-old boys are prone to do, he got distracted. He left his cup of flavored soda water out on the back porch, and that wouldn't have been a problem, except that Francisco night experienced a sudden, unexpected drop in temperatures. The mercury plummeted well below freezing. The next morning, Frank stepped out onto the porch to check on his forgotten concoction. What he found was a solid block of ice, perfectly frozen around that wooden stirring stick. With a little tugging, he pulled the frozen cylinder free from the glass. He brought it to his mouth, licked the frozen fruit-flavored ice, and realized he had accidentally stumbled onto something magnificent. He called his creation the Epsiscle, a combination of his last name and the word icicle. Did Frank instantly patent his brilliant invention, launch a multi-million-dollar empire, and ride off in the sunset wealthy? No. Excuse me. Frank was but a kid. He enjoyed his frozen treats and shared them with his neighborhood friends. He grew up and eventually went into the real estate business. The Epsiscle was nothing more than a fond childhood memory tucked away in the back of his mind. Nearly 2 decades passed. It was now the roaring 20s. Frank Epperson was a grown man with a family of his own, living through financial ups and downs. Then one evening, he attended a firefighter's ball, where he watched children eagerly buying frozen ice from local vendors. Suddenly, a memory from 18 years prior flashed before his eyes. Frank realized that accidental creation of his youth was a commercial gold mine waiting to happen. He immediately went to work, perfecting recipes, securing wooden sticks, and applying for a patent. By 1924, he introduced his frozen treat to the public at an amusement park in Oakland, California. The crowds went wild. The treat was an instant sensation, especially among children who had never tasted anything quite like it. Frank's own children, however, had a different name for it. They didn't call it an Epsiscle. To them, it was their father's popsicle. The new name stuck. In a couple of years, the trademark was officially registered, and the popsicle became a permanent fixture of American childhood and folklore. Frank Epperson had successfully captured lightning in a bottle, or rather, a frozen fruit drink on a stick. And as the decades rolled on, millions and millions of kids would wipe that sticky red and purple syrups from their chins, blissfully unaware that America's favorite summer treat was born entirely out of an 11-year-old boy's forgetfulness on a freezing cold night in San Francisco in 1905. And now you know the rest of the story. Have a great day and enjoy your popsicle. Bye-bye.